Hi guys, I'm James at Spoke and welcome back to another video, and in this video we're looking at a really interesting SMG release from Aerodynamic Arms. I have a wall of SMG or subguns or pistol caliber carbines or whatever you want to call them behind me. I have a selection of my own, but one is out of place that's not mine, and that will be the Aerodynamic Arms A9. So this is a very interesting release. It's had a bit of controversy around it because of the way it looks. I can tell you that this is the A9 SMG from Aerodynamic Arms. This is OEM'd by Aries, and it's a very cool looking compact SMG. This, I can tell you what it's not. This is most definitely not an APC-9K from B&T. This is a A9 SMG, a generic SMG, and once that legal stuff's out of the way, we can get into the nitty gritty. So this is an interesting release from Aerodynamic Arms under the OEM that is Aries. Obviously you'll see this one here has the mid length magazine, got the A9 suppressor on here, and then I've just threw on a red dot sight to show you what it looks like. Very interesting release. You've got a completely metal upper receiver here and then a polymer lower frame and pistol grip. It's very sturdy, it's very compact, and you may have seen something like this very similar in the game Call of Duty, which released not long ago, which was the ISO, which is probably why this has been so popular. So the suppressor is an add-on. It does come empty. That doesn't come with the gun itself, so let me just take that out and pop it to one side. So including the box with this package, you obviously get the SMG itself, the A9, and the way you see it here is how it comes out the box, barring at the red dot sight, which is just something I've thrown on there. Let me just take that off because I have been messing around with this for some time. We've had it for a while, but if you haven't seen, we've just launched a new walk-in store in Slough, so we've been really busy with that, so I hadn't had time to get this thing recorded. Also in the box with this SMG, you get 3 magazines. You get a small 65 round magazine. You get a slightly longer, which they refer to as the mid-length 80 round magazine. And then finally, they include the longest of the 3, which they call the long magazine, which is the 110 round mid-cap magazine. The 3 magazines that come in the box, the only one that's a little bit tight in the receiver is the 110 round for some reason. Perhaps something on the moulding when they made these. It's not a bad thing. I'd rather have it a little bit tight than too loose and, you know, be flopping around everywhere. The small and the medium fit in no bother at all, and they're not tight. They won't drop out under their own weight, but they're very easy to take in and out. The 110 is the only magazine which you just require a little bit of force to tap it home there. So as I said before, this is OEM by Aries. It has their EFCS gearbox system. It has a hop-up unit similar to the M45 series. You'll see on this it's got a sliding stock, being the K model. This has 4 positions. You've got fully closed, 1, 2, and then 3 extended, so 4 positions in total. To put the stock back in, you just press this button and it will push back home. It's a metal construction with a polymer end piece here with a rubber butt pad on there, which gives it a nice feel. Like I said, you've got a polymer lower receiver. You've got ambidextrous controls throughout for the magazine release, for the bolt release, for the fire selector, and then you've got this thin style pistol grip which houses the Aries slim ultra high torque motor. Forward to this, you've got a set of flip up iron sights. They do include pistol style iron sights, and then you flip them up to reveal the rifle sights, and then you can also flip the adjuster forward to get a more precise aperture on there. They're a little bit loose feeling, not the end of the world. But great that they're included in the box. You've also got an ambidextrous charging lever for the bolt, or the fake bolt, which can be done from both sides, and then you just push the bolt release and then the bolt will return forward. When I first received this in the box, you could charge it and you could use the bolt release and it would fly forward and make a nice noise. I have been messing around with it. I think something's just got not quite lined up properly, and that's why it's just sticking a little bit there. Made a little bit of lubing, that's all. So this, like I said, has the EFCS Aries gearbox with a quick spring change, MOSFET included as well. They're fully programmable with the Aries EFCS programming unit. So they've done a really good, they've put a really good system in here straight away. Same system that can be seen from the M45. I love the M45 to bits. It's probably one of the only guns on this wall that hasn't been upgraded in some way. That gun is bone stock, barring the Cerakote, the lovely Cerakote green colour which has been put on there. So you've got really nice snappy trigger response, which you'll see later on in the video. You've got full auto as well on the standard setting. You can use 7.4 or 11.1 LiPo batteries with this. I would recommend using 11.1 LiPos because on a 7.4 it can be a bit sluggish. Because you're pulling back that hefty spring to get the FPS out of 140mm in a barrel length. You have a tri-lug barrel here, much like on similar real-world SMGs, couldn't tell you which one. And this thing is very, very compact, and I've been really excited for this release. I first heard about it probably 6 to 9 months ago, and I've been chomping at the bit asking the suppliers when these things are going to be ready. You can of course get the suppressors, which are a little bit expensive in my view. They don't have a proper tri-lug fitment. Like on a real steel tri-lug fitment, what you'd do is you'd slide it on, give it a half twist, and then the spring tension holds it onto the barrel. It doesn't have this, it has this weird cam sort of design here, which isn't the most secure. And like I said, they are quite expensive at $49.99, and they don't come foam filled, of course, and they also have 3 holes. I would probably, if it was me, look at either getting this threaded or be getting a custom barrel made to fit some nice carbon suppressor maybe. You've got rail space all along the top on the receiver. You've got 2 polymer rail sections which are screwed to the receiver as well, and then you've got a lower rail section which is moulded into the receiver too, with a little hand stop which has a little hole there for like a swivel or a sling or something like that. But it also helps keep your hands out of harm's way when you're firing this thing. So yes, it's very compact. This is the 110 round magazine. Like I say, you do get 3 in the box. You can get these separately on their own, and you can also get them in a pack of 5. We were doing all of them. At the time of filming this review, these are out of stock on the website, but fear not, we've got a sea shipment on the way with a lot more magazines, suppressors and everything. So we'll just pop the mid-length 80 round magazine on here. These rubber bumpers that are on the bottom, you can take off. The magazine is styled after an MP9 style magazine here. But it's nice to have those little rubber bumpers there to protect your mags if you were to eject them on the floor. Not that you're going to do that because they hold under their own retention. To put the battery in, you basically punch out this pin at the back here. It is quite tight, and then the stock system removes and the battery sits along the top here. The batteries that I've been having limited success with are the 11.1 AK style LiPo batteries. They're a perfect size to go down, but they are a little bit too long to get the stock on. So you're going to want something AK diameter size to go in there nice and easily and not snag up on anything, but you're going to want something slightly shorter in length to make sure it clears the stock when it's fitted. So yes, they've put a thin style grip on here, so it does have the nice thin diameter on the sides, but it is quite a wide grip front to back. Some find it comfy. I'm having big hands as well. It's not the most comfy, but it does look like you can probably take this off and fit something more like the M45 grip series, which is very, very good. By locking the bolt to the rear, you can reveal the rotary style hop-up system, which is pretty much identical to the M45 series, thereabouts. The way it holds onto the inner barrel is with a little grub screw and a spring. But nice accessible normal AEG hot rubbers in inner barrels. This is a 140mm inner barrel out of the box. With it using the EFCS gearbox system from Aries as well, parts and accessibility is going to be your friend. You're going to be able to get bits and pieces for these AEG springs in and out the back with a quick change spring system. It is doing about 290 to 300 feet per second out of the box, which you'll see in the chrono test later on, and with an 11.1 LiPo it's doing about 15 rounds per second. However, let's get you closer in, guys. Let's take a look at this thing and let's have a look at the Aerodynamic Arms A9 SMG. So here it is, the Aerodynamic Arms A9 SMG. Metal upper receiver here, polymer frame, polymer grip. We have metal stock rails with a polymer pad with a rubber butt pad fixed onto the outside, which is very comfy. This is a 4-position stock. We have 2 plastic rails on either side, which are screwed to the main receiver, and then we have 20mm rails on the top and bottom, which you can fit all your accessories to. Fire selector can be controlled from both sides, safe, semi and full auto. You've got ambidextrous controls for the magazine and the bolt release, and the trigger has a nice micro switch with that EFCS MOSFET system. Very cool indeed. The magazines. Each magazine that they do for this replica is a mid cap. You've got a 65 round, which is the short, 80 round, which is the mid, and then 110 round, which is the long. They're very, very cool indeed, this new SMG. So let's just lock that to the rear, and you can see the hop unit in there, if it'll focus. Rotary style hop unit, much like the Ares M45. Some flip up polymer iron sights, which you have pistol style sights on the top, and then they can be folded up, and then the aperture can be changed from large to small. Also in the box you get an unjamming rod and one of those tube style loaders to load your magazines with. As you can see here, the stock's fully extended. Very cool looking indeed. So that's just a quick overview. Let's get to the chrono test. Let's see what this thing chronos at, and then let's get to the range test at 50 meters and see how this thing does. I'm using an 11.1 LiPo battery. I'm also using 0.3 gram BBs at a range of 15 meters, using the middle magazine that comes with it, which is an 80 rounder. Ares always seem to guesstimate their magazines, so take it with a pinch of salt. I'm just firing it from a standing position, no stock on it, just because I don't have a battery that will properly fit it, and we'll see what we can do. Do a burst. So, for 140mm in a barrel, I think that's absolutely superb. The rounds were dropping off just because the standard setting on this out of the box is no hop on at all. Obviously switching up to 0.3s, if we set the hop, the flight path would be a bit more stable. We're going to see if we can get this at an outdoor range test, but with a 140mm in a barrel, that's a standard bore. I've got no reason for it to believe that it's a tight bore. It's very good, you know, 290 feet per second on a 0.2. So I've had a lot of time to play around with this thing. Obviously I got one sent to me for review purposes. I've been messing about with it. Yes, it has got a very small inner barrel. Yes, you're pulling a quite hefty spring to get the FPS up there. But this thing is a lot of fun. I mean, I am probably a little bit biased because I love the Ares EFCS system that's in the M45. And this is pretty much the same gun as that gun, despite its appearances, of course. So, you know, you can expect good performance out of the box. You might want to put a suppressor on extending in a barrel if you want a little bit more feet per second without going with a too hefty of a spring. Of course, you're going to benefit from fitting a tighter barrel in this thing as well as a upgraded hot rubber. But, you know, using 0.3 gram BBs on the range test as you have seen, with no hop applied, firing it without a stock on, literally just trying to line the iron sights up and keep it steady, this thing performed brilliantly at 15 meters. If the hop was set and this thing was dialed in, you know, get the hotbed in with a few magazines, just make sure everything's settled from the factory, performance is going to be so much better. I had actually arranged some outdoor range testing for this thing and many of the other stuff that I'm going to be reviewing, but it just so happens it fell in sort of confliction with the shop that we were going to open, which happened last Saturday, and that took priority over. So unfortunately I don't have any outdoor range tests, but I'm going to look at doing something very, very soon for you. So I hope you've enjoyed this, the Aerodynamic Arms A9 SMG. It's definitely not a B&T APC9K. It is a generic A9 SMG for any of those watching that care. Got to be careful nowadays. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is absolutely superb. I love the compact size. I love the appeal to this. You know, if you are a gamer and you are playing Call of Duty at ISO, this is very similar to it. The stock that Paul rips out, you know, makes it nice and accessible. I would love, and I would probably run this with a suppressor, but I would either, you know, having the accessibility to a lathe, I'd probably turn my own wider barrel and probably put a nice carbon suppressor on here to keep it nice and light with foam in it. But this thing is tactical as it can be. The only other thing again I would do is, which a few Japanese owners I have seen that have done on YouTube, is perhaps just put a tiny bit of shim stock in these rails here just to tighten this up a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but there is a little bit of wobble on it. As you can see here, putting a red dot sight on just makes this thing look very, very tactical indeed. Put your flashlights on, put your lasers on, whatever you want to do. Put a nice vertical grip, because if you're not using a suppressor, you're going to want to make sure you keep your hands out of the way of where that barrel is pushing those BBs out. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you want to see more on the Aerodynamic Arms A9, let me know in the comments below and I will do some extra videos. Perhaps we'll do teardown. I've already had this thing tore down, just looking at how they put this thing together, because I was very interested indeed. So if you want more in-depth videos like that, and I'll look at doing an outdoor range test as well as some of the other rifles that you see here. We've got some interesting videos coming up. We've got an update video on the QRF. You might be seen that in a couple of videos, wondering what the hell it is. Really interesting stuff coming with that, so I'll be doing a video on that soon, as well as the M-Lock SVD. That's looking very different now as well. But for this and many other standard bespoke airsoft products, go to our website, bespokeairsoft.co.uk. You can also visit us in store now at our Slough location, which is 17 Willow Road, Colnbrook, Slough, SL30BS. And you can come and say hi. We're open 6 days a week. Can't always guarantee that I'm going to be there on the day, because I'm always travelling about and doing other bits and pieces. But come and say hello, buy some Gucci gear. We've got loads of cable and loads of other bits in. What you see in the shop is probably about 5 to 10% of what we actually have in stock. So if you need anything, just come down and ask us and we'll try and help you out best we can. Thanks very much for tuning into this review. This is the Aerodynamic Arms A9, and I'll see you in the next video.